Imagine your city just gets rented out for a month. Someone rolls in, takes over your streets, your stadiums, your infrastructure, makes billions, and leaves. And you don't collect a single dollar in taxes, not 1 cent. And the worst part? It's not a crime. It's worse than a crime. It's the law. This is FIFA, the 2026 World Cup, USA, Canada, Mexico, 104 matches, billions of viewers, the biggest tournament in history, and $11 billion in revenue, tax-free. How is that possible? Simple. Before every tournament, governments sign a document that literally states, FIFA is exempt from all local taxes, completely. Your government, your signature, your money, gone, before it ever touches the budget. But taxes are just line one. Dedicated road lanes, exclusively for FIFA officials' motorcades, in New York, in Los Angeles, where millions of people sit in traffic for hours, every single day. You've been stuck on your commute for 2 hours, and right next to you, an empty lane, with a black Mercedes flying a FIFA badge through it. Then there's this, a 1-kilometer exclusion zone around every stadium. Inside it, you can't sell anything without FIFA's permission. A coffee shop that's been on that corner for 30 years, shut it down. A food truck that's been feeding the neighborhood since 2008, gone. In their place, Coca-Cola and McDonald's, official partners who paid for the exclusive rights. And cities sign this, themselves, voluntarily. Because if they don't, the tournament goes somewhere that will. If the conditions are this brutal, why do countries even want to host the World Cup? The answer is simple. Money. A lot of it. Tourists, hotels, restaurants, airlines, sponsors. But if there's that much money on the table, a different question comes up. Who actually gets it? The 2026 World Cup is officially hosted by 3 countries, the US, Canada, and Mexico. On paper, they're equal partners. But when it came time to divide up what actually matters, it turned out equality only existed on paper. Out of 104 matches, 1 country grabbed nearly everything with real value. The final, the semifinals, the biggest TV audiences, the most expensive tickets, and the billions of dollars that come with all of it. If the World Cup is a business, the US didn't show up as a partner. They showed up as the majority shareholder, playing by an entirely different set of rules. But how exactly did the US manage to rewrite the contract to their advantage? And why did Mexico's footballing legacy lose out to cold, financial math? FIFA always had a tested playbook. Fly into a country, put the contract on the table, officials sign. That's how it worked in Brazil, Russia, Qatar. Because for those governments, hosting the tournament was a matter of national pride. And pride is a weakness at the negotiating table. But in 2026, the organization ran into a different kind of people for the first time. Not politicians, American billionaires who own the stadiums. And these people aren't afraid of losing the tournament. They're only afraid of one thing, a bad deal. Picture that negotiating room. On one side, Zurich officials with their standard colonial-style contract. On the other, people who built their state-of-the-art arenas without a single dollar of government money. They opens its mouth to launch into a presentation about international prestige and gets hit with, "How much are you paying us to rent the stadium?" In the US, the currency of prestige doesn't convert. American sports oligarchs methodically carved FIFA up piece by piece. They came in with hard terms. Control over VIP suites and alcohol sales stays with the arena owners. Hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue that the association was used to pocketing, this time stayed in American hands. Round to the Americans. And that negotiating win made it clear who actually held the leverage. The American billionaires sent FIFA a message: if you want to make money in our market, you play by our rules. And when the leaders of all 3 countries sat down to divide up what actually mattered, the matches themselves, the US used that leverage to the fullest. But the beer money was nothing. The real stakes were different. 104 matches, and they are not equal. A group stage game is a packed stadium and local news coverage. The World Cup final is 1 billion people watching at the same time. It's the most expensive advertising slot on the planet. It's tickets that sell on the secondary market for the price of a car. And when it came time to divide those matches between 3 countries, the US put one argument on the table: biggest stadiums, biggest media market, biggest infrastructure. The result? USA 78 matches, Canada 13, Mexico 13. Every quarterfinal, USA. Every semifinal, USA. The final, USA. That's what the partnership looks like. And here's the sharpest moment of all. Estadio Azteca in Mexico, the legendary arena where Maradona scored his famous Hand of God goal. Mexico is the first country in history to host the tournament 3 times. For them, football isn't a sport, it's a religion. All they asked for was one thing, the final at the Azteca. It would have been symbolic, it would have been fair. FIFA listened to the emotional argument and gave the final to MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Officially, logistics. In reality, because New York is a massive advertising market, Mexico lost a financial game they were never actually invited to play. American corporations and FIFA eventually carved up the pie. But while the billionaires were counting their windfall from tickets and luxury suites, the real robbery was starting somewhere nobody expected, inside the apps on your phone. And the biggest check in this entire game will be written to people who don't even care about football. $5 billion. That's the number organizers put in front of parliaments and press conferences as the headline benefit of the World Cup for the American economy. That number shuts down any uncomfortable question about FIFA's tax exemptions. The money is coming. That part is real. But here's the problem. Money doesn't arrive in a city the way rain does. It always settles in someone's pocket. The only question is whose. Millions of tourists will spend billions of dollars. Plane tickets, hotels, car rentals, VIP packages. The problem is that most of this machine already belongs to large corporations. American Airlines, Delta, Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt. The World Cup doesn't create new winners. It just makes the existing winners richer. But the most interesting part isn't happening at airports or hotels. It's happening inside the Airbnb app. A condo owner in Miami opens their booking calendar and sees a number that's hard to ignore. 1 month during the World Cup can bring in more money than 6 months of regular rent. At that moment, the apartment stops being a home. It becomes an asset, and assets get squeezed for every dollar they're worth. 1 building, 1 address, 2 people. The first, the owner. For them, the World Cup is a jackpot. The second, the tenant, a nurse, a student, a driver, someone who has lived there for years. And one day they get a message. We won't be renewing your lease. Not because of missed payments, not because of a conflict, not because of any violation, simply because a tourist is worth more now. And that's exactly how it plays out. The same numbers politicians present at press conferences look completely different from inside residential neighborhoods. For the property owner, record profits. For the hotel chain, record occupancy. For the airline, record demand. And for some tenants, a new apartment search. $5 billion come into the city, but they don't reach everyone. And housing is just the beginning, because you can lose an apartment and find another one. What's harder is when the city itself starts to change. When streets you've walked for years suddenly sprout fences. When new rules appear, new restrictions, new owners of the space. That's when it becomes clear. The World Cup doesn't just change the football calendar, it changes the city. A few weeks before the first match, you wake up, step outside, and don't recognize your own neighborhood. Fences, checkpoints, cameras, the street you walked every day, blocked off, your usual parking spot, gone. Nobody warned you. For 1 month, the city is no longer yours. It belongs to someone else. Around the stadium, a security perimeter, miles of fencing, checkpoints, closed-off routes. That's standard logistics. That makes sense. But then comes the second layer, FIFA's commercial perimeter. 1 kilometer around the stadium where FIFA's rules apply. And inside that zone, there are real people with real problems. El Rincón, a Mexican restaurant in Dallas, open for 31 years, 3 generations of the same family. It fell inside the zone. They received a notice from the city. For the duration of the tournament, restrictions on outdoor signage and entrance structures, because nearby, there's an official partner. 31 years, and suddenly, you're in the way of someone else's exclusivity deal. Jamal's food truck, street food since 2009, parked outside MetLife Stadium every weekend. During the tournament, his spot gets taken by the official Coca-Cola fan zone. No compensation, just clear the space. These cities didn't just sign a deal to host matches, they signed a deal to temporarily hand over control over advertising space, over public space, over who gets to do business and where. For 1 month, the city stops being a city. It becomes a commercial platform where every square foot of public space has a price tag. And that deal? It was not written for local businesses. The space fills up with VIP packages worth tens of thousands of dollars, closed-door sponsor parties, and private transfers. Every piece of infrastructure runs for one category of people, those with money. Everyone else stays on the other side of the fence. One shot. Inside the stadium's VIP suite, a corporate guest drinks champagne in an air-conditioned room. 2 blocks away, police are clearing homeless people off the streets, not because they broke any law, simply because they ruined the shot. For 1 month, the city becomes an expensive commercial backdrop. When the match ends, nothing actually ends. The cameras just switch off, the fan zones get packed up, the fences come down, and the city looks exactly like it always did. But inside the system, the reports are already open. FIFA counts its billions, businesses count their profits, cities announce a successfully hosted tournament. Everyone is satisfied. Everyone won, officially. When the show ends, the final score comes in, and that's what tells you what this actually was. FIFA gets its billions, legally, cleanly, without a single violation. This isn't improvisation, it's a system built to the millimeter. There's no winner here, there's only a contract fulfilled. Then, the corporations. Hotels fully booked, flights sold out, ad slots gone before the tournament even starts. Every major brand takes its cut of the noise and turns it into money. No pauses, no losses, no second thoughts. The cities get photos, the image, the reports, the growth charts, and the political press conferences where everyone repeats the same word, success. But success is only what you can see from the top. There's one more level, the one nobody shows. Tenants who got pushed out, businesses wiped off the map, neighborhoods that spent a month feeling like someone else's territory to people who'd lived there their whole lives. They didn't disappear, they just didn't make it into the final version of the story. The 2026 World Cup won't leave a disaster behind. There will be no scandal, no crime, no one to blame. And that's exactly what makes it terrifying. Because when a system runs perfectly, nobody even notices who gets crushed in the process.